to this computer. Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Alan Kennedy of Oxford Business Leaders. I'm just chatting to Ted Yeates today, who's a lovely man. I've known Ted for about 10 years. I just got a lot of time for him, the way he cares for his clients. He's an ex-army medic, got a long history of throwing himself into difficult situations, and he's not afraid to do so now. Ted, do you want to give a bit of a background about what you've done, what you're doing now?
Yes, well, now I concentrate on trying to help people that are of an age where their health is likely to be failing. They are likely to be unlikely to be able to cope at home on their own. And unfortunately, this has been exacerbated over the last year or so with COVID. Many people have lost their life partner. So they're in a property that's too big for them. They're upset because of the loss of the loved ones, and their health will be suffering.
Okay, Ted, excuse me for interrupting you.
Yes,
let's deal with a specific situation. My parents both went into a home long after they should have done. In my mum's case, she had quite bad dementia. My dad looked after her, and she eventually went into a home when she was found wandering up and down the A303 in a state of some confusion. My dad went into a home when he had bad dementia, bad diabetes, and to my mind, that seems incredibly dangerous. So but they both were incredibly resistant to going into a home until the last possible moment. What are your top tips on helping parents in my situation so they don't go through the extreme distress for both us and the parents that they went through?
Fine. Okay, thank you for that, Alan. Well, the first thing is everybody should have arranged a lasting power of attorney, because in the case of elderly parents especially, if they lose mental capacity, they cannot make decisions for themselves. And if they haven't got a lasting power of attorney, sorry, let's not be negative. If a power of attorney has been set up, then the next of kin, if they've been appointed as attorneys, can act for them and make decisions on their behalf, which includes arranging for them to go into care. Going into care for many people, whilst it's a difficult decision, is sometimes, very often, the best decision for the parent. Unfortunately, I do occasionally see cases where the children are thinking more about their potential inheritances than they are about their parents' welfare. But the ethical thing to do, to my mind, is the day a person requires residential care is the day they should move out of the family home and into residential care. The biggest problem, the biggest bar to that, is the fact that very often the only tangible asset owned by the person who needs the care might well be the family home, in which they're living on their own because their partner's been long gone in lots of cases. And up until very recently, it was almost impossible for people to raise the capital necessary to move into care without selling the home. So this is a catch-22 situation whereby they're asset rich but cash poor. I've been very fortunate enough, and based on the fact that I started this journey with long-term care funding 25 years ago with the introduction of the NHS and Community Care Act when it came into force. We used to be able to get bridging loans quite easily. Unfortunately, this all stopped about 10 years ago. However, I'm delighted to say now I have managed to arrange with more than one finance house, for want of a better expression, the ability to have bridging loans now granted up to 65, 70% of the value of the residential home, which can be provided to the person needing care to prove that they have got the assets to enter care and pay for 2 years care, which is a prerequisite before they're allowed into the care home.
So top tip number one would be have an enduring power of attorney.
Absolutely.
Top tip number two is be brave enough to come to someone like you and to say, how do I finance it in a way that doesn't require the family home to be repossessed, stroke, sold immediately? Okay.
Yeah. If I can put you on one thing there, Alan,
Yeah.
it's not enduring power of attorney.
Yeah.
They are worse than useless.
Right.
Because they cannot be used straight away. They will. If anybody's got an enduring power of attorney, it will probably take them 4 months before they can be taken into use.
Yes.
What they need to do is see somebody like myself and take out lasting power of attorneys.
Okay.
There are 2 types, one for finance and one for welfare.
Got you. Okay, lovely. So they need proper technical advice. That's cool. What about the emotions of it? Any tips on how to persuade my dad to move into the home?
Yes, be persuasive. Demonstrate the fact that it's where they deserve to be, and not for him not to worry about the effect it's going to have on any potential inheritances for you.
Yeah.
Because the majority of elderly people are insistent that they must leave something to the generation that's following them.
Yeah.
Whereas in reality, the majority of people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, as we are, don't actually need that.
Yes.
It's not, their livelihoods are not dependent on inheritances from their parents.
Yeah.
The parents, those assets, and they should be used for that parent's welfare and happiness in later life.
Yes.
And not just kept for the sake of giving it to kids who probably don't need it anyway.
Right. And I'm guessing that if someone, it's like anything in life, if you know someone cares about you, you're much more likely to listen to them than if they think they've got an ulterior motive.
Yes.
So if, and the advice you're giving is basically care for your parents, look after your parents. Absolutely. And the other thing I would say is get people to come to you sooner rather than later, because they need to set up the long-term care funding as early as they possibly can, and or all the legal documents, which I didn't get the name right, but so okay, as soon as they can. Is that a fair description?
Yes. Lasting powers of attorney are more important than wills.
Yes.
Because the effect on a person's life can be dictated as to whether they've got mental capacity.
Yeah.
If the person dies, will is almost essential, but everybody's got a will in reality, in as much that if you haven't prepared one yourself, then the court of protection will decide what happens to your assets.
Yeah, and that's very expensive because, as we all know, you have to go near a solicitor to do that, and we don't want to do that.
Well, not only solicitor, but the court of protection.
Yes. Okay.
Takes a great deal of time and a great deal of money.
Yeah.
It's far better to spend, I don't know, 500 quid or something.
Okay. Out of interest, do you know what percentage of the population, say over 50, have wills and or lasting power of attorneys?
Yes, wills, I think at the last count was probably about 60% don't have wills.
Yeah.
With solicitors, strangely enough, I think the figure is higher than that.
Right.
I think probably they think they're immortal. Maybe they are. I'm not sure.
Right.
And with LPAs, the numbers are less than that, but it is growing rapidly.
Okay.
And it's an inexpensive way of ensuring things can be done properly.
I know it worked incredibly well for my father. He was incapable of paying his telephone bill. So my sister had to go in and pay his phone bill every quarter for him, or set up a direct debit to do it. And it worked really well. So Ted, it's been amazing speaking to you. What has come across is your care for the elderly. That's really brilliant. I know from your background, you we talk about help for heroes. You were a real hero in your time in the services, doing some very brave stuff, and you are now helping other heroes. So Ted, thank you so much for that. I love what you're doing. Do more of it. Thank you.
Thank you.